Hey guys, Eric with MorningTechMeeting.com and Blue Collar Consulting coming to you from my vehicle. I am driving from northern Utah to southern California today. It's Saturday afternoon, and this is usually where I start doing all my thinking, and I figured I'd just whip up a quick video. There's probably a lot of ambient noise, so I'll apologize for that. I tried this once with a microphone, but the microphone picked up so much wind from the outside, it just didn't freaking work. So, sorry, but you're gonna have to deal with a little ambient noise. It's the only way I can do it. But what I was thinking about today and what I want to talk about while I'm driving is I want to talk about systems. We recorded a podcast with Bruce Deloach, who's a carpet and restoration instructor. He's an IICRC certified instructor, and he's also a coach like me. And Bruce and I have been friends, and Larry have been friends for years. And Bruce is really good because he's very self-aware. And he now teaches a class when he's speaking about building systems for people who, guys who are non-systematic, or they just hate systems because they don't like building them, they don't like implementing them, and they don't certainly like to follow them. And obviously the owner needs to follow the systems just like any employee. And I can talk about that a little bit too. So anyway, we were doing this podcast, and it just got me thinking about systems in general, and how in a lot of ways, and I don't think owners think this way a lot, I in the past didn't, but we're being so unfair to our team members when we don't have business systems in place so that they can know what the rules are for success or failure within the company or within their job. I've been guilty of this. I see this in my consulting all the time when I go out. Holy crap. Almost had an accident here. Hold on. Holy crap. Can you see that? A lot of traffic. There must be an accident. It's scary. Hopefully everybody's okay. Anyway, early on in my cleaning and restoration business, we had verbal systems. I had ways I liked to do things. I had, so I would take a technician out on a truck, say for cleaning carpet, and I would walk that guy through how I like to clean carpet, because that's what the customers are used to, the way I was doing it, because I was in the truck for a long time. Or I'd take guys to water damage, and they're like, this is how I like this done or that done. But what would happen was, they wouldn't catch all of what I was doing, They would catch a certain percentage. So all of a sudden, the way I was doing it isn't really happening anymore out in the field. Like maybe 70% or 50% of what I was doing was happening, and they were interpreting the other 50%. Well, what happens? Then they get a helper. So now they're interpreting my interpretation again to a third person. And then that guy might be getting, half of the half that I had trained the lead tech on. So now they're at 25% of what I wanted, right? And then down the line, and then the next lead comes and gets trained by the old lead. And to be honest, what happens is it ends up being a shit show. And I'm not getting what I want. My customers aren't getting what they wanted when I was on the truck, what I was giving. And it's not the fault of the technicians. They want to do a good job. It's my fault because I didn't have a written system step by step for how to do that. How to prep the truck in the morning, how to go, how to ring the doorbell, how to talk to the client, how to clean the carpet. Everything should be written out and practiced. So I learned over the years that whole verbal thing doesn't work. And what I'm seeing as I go out and help people, so many companies, probably 90% of companies are doing that. And the boss is getting frustrated because he or she's not getting what they want. The technicians are frustrated because they feel like they can't win, because no matter what they do or how they were taught, the boss shows up on the job and gets ticked off. And the client loses too, because they're not getting They liked what the owner was doing 5 years ago or 3 years ago when he or she was on the truck. And now they're not getting that anymore. And look, I've lived through this whole scenario a couple times, actually, which is painful to say. But all of this can be done away with by building written systems for how you run your business. And I know I can hear the moans and groans from the owner. That's just another thing that I have to do. I can't even keep up now. But the reality is that you have to be fair to you, to get you a life someday, opposed to being a slave to your business, to have the technicians be happy and your culture be good. You have to make the time and energy to start building systems. And, you don't have to do them all at once. Actually, it's not even good to do them all at once. Do one at a time. Do one, write it all out. It could be as simple as the guys don't know how to take the trash out right? That sounds so basic, but maybe it's not happening. So you literally write out, this is exactly the 7 steps to taking the trash out. Take the bag, wrap it up, walk it to the dumpster, open the dumpster, throw it in the dumpster, close the dumpster lid, back to the shop. Here's where the new bags are. You put a bag in, you're done. Okay? Sounds super simple. It's not. It's not for anybody, because if you get a new guy, he might not know where the bags are. He doesn't throw a bag in, then everybody chucks the trash in the garbage bin that has no bag, and now that has to be cleaned out. And I mean, you guys know. But you start there, and then you get it so everybody in your company knows how to take the trash out. Like, everybody knows how to take the trash out the right way. Then once you've done that, you move to your next thing. And it might be how to prep a van. So you have a written system for everything that you need to do to prep a van or a truck. And then you work with the guys, and you give them to prep the truck. And then once you're done with that, you move to the next thing. And, I mean, this sounds so tedious, but man, once it's done, once you have all the basics written out in an operations manual, your life as an owner gets so much better, because now you're not frustrated and pissed off all the time. You show up at a job, they're actually doing it the way you wanted it done, because they're following the rules and the system. And if they're not doing that, you have a reason to be able to show them you're not doing it the way our company has decided it's going to be done. Here's a verbal warning, here's a written warning, out the door, whatever. People crave structure. They just want it. Owners may not want the structure that the team does. And I think that's one of the disconnects is too. My business partner Larry is a prime example of that. When we had our cleaning and restoration business, Larry wanted systems and he wanted rules for them, but not for himself. So what he would do, Larry's just kind of a maverick. He's your typical entrepreneur in many ways. He's like, I want all of them to do the rules, but I don't want any rules to apply to me. And I wish he was here right now, because he could speak to that a little bit. The example I used in the podcast was, we had an issue with trash because we were a 24-hour water damage restoration company. A lot of times guys who get called out in the middle of the night have to cut a bunch of wet drywall, throw it in bags, and they'd get in at 2 a.m, and they still had to be back at work at 7. So they just kind of dump and run. They just dump it at the back door of the warehouse and jet home. But that was causing all kinds of problems. So, we instituted a rule that no matter what time of day it is, you have to take your trash to the dump trailer and load it in, which might take 10 or 15 minutes. So the guys, we sat down, we talked about why it was important, and we did that, and everybody was doing it except one person, and that would be Larry. Larry always had some reason not to do it. Well, what did that do? That made my guys think, well, if Larry doesn't have to do it, I don't have to do it. So next thing you know, we're starting to get trash at the door again, even though we have a written system. I'm losing my mind, because it took me a while to figure out that the reason they weren't doing it is because Larry wasn't doing it. I just thought that they were willfully disobeying the rule, not my rule, just our general rule. So once we identified that, they were like, well, if Larry doesn't have to dump the trash, then we're not going to dump the trash either. Larry and I sat down and had a long heart-to-heart, and he stopped doing that. And then once we had full buy-in, both owners and all team, it worked. So you guys, you can be the maverick owner. That's fine. You know, that's why we all chart our own path and do all this to begin with, because we want to be our own boss. But the reality is that we're still accountable to the team. And we can't be so maverick that we're not a part of our own team that we created. So that's my rant on systems. I'm moving again. I saw a couple cars. I don't know if you saw it in the background. Didn't look good, man. I hope everybody's okay. So anyway, that's it. Build systems. If you have a hard time building systems, get a hold of me. I have some consulting that helps, and I have a bunch of pre-done systems that could at least get you going. That would be, email me, eric@morningtechmeeting.com. Again, that's eric@morningtechmeeting.com. I'm glad to help in any way. And yeah, so go make some systems and have a good weekend.